Before we begin, thank you very much to Starlight for joining the Patreon campaign. If you haven't noticed from the outros, I have stars on the mind a lot this year. But thank you very much for the support. I do appreciate it. Every bit that goes into Patreon helps keep the channel going, keeps the daily content coming. And yeah, I deeply appreciate it. Like, even a little bit per month helps me out tremendously. So thank you very much for the support. So, let's talk about dead characters. So, every time Hasbro does a toy of a dead character, we all just kind of laugh at it and go like, oh my god, that's so morbid. And like, do you even realize how many times we've gone through this at this point? Do you have any idea how many times we've done this? So I thought, let's actually just take a look. How many times could they really have released a toy of a dead character? And, you see the length of this video. So for starters, I'm just going to mention this is probably not all of them, but this is everyone I could think of. And yes, technically there are other characters who have died on screen and they have toys, but these are specifically toys that are designed to represent the characters either dying or in a state of no longer functioning. So a little bit of a morbid topic, but you know what? Like, it's just amusing they make toys of these kind of things. And obviously, since it's the most famous death in Transformers, that does mean that Optimus Prime has had his. This is the first one I think we really took notice of. This is MP01 repainted into what they called Sleep Mode Optimus Prime. Sleep Mode. Like he's a laptop. But yeah, it is designed to replicate his darker ashen color scheme that he had as he was dying, though weirdly enough, they just can't help themselves because it's still got a little bit of color to it, in particular on the hips. But they're trying. They're trying. You know, you get the idea. There was a future attempt. The Earthrise Optimus Prime also got a repaint. This one was Alternate Universe Optimus Prime. No, I'm pretty sure that happened in the main universe, Hasbro. I mean, I know you can't just put, like, Optimus Prime's corpse on the box. I know that's not going to go over well. They are much more accurate with the color here. This one is one of the few times they actually have sculpting to represent the damage. So, okay, fair play. The only part of color on the entire figure is the actual Matrix Annex and the Matrix itself, which, you know, that actually plays to that scene just fine. It's still kind of twisted and morbid, and it's a little unsettling. Amusing in a weird, twisted way. Now, funny enough, even though this is the most famous event in Transformers history, these are the only two that really represent it. There are other Black Optimus Primes that aren't Nemesis, but they aren't directly meant to represent this scene. They just happen to be black or gray Optimus Primes. Starscream, on the other hand, has a whole lot of toys to represent his translucent ghost appearance in G1 Season 3, and big surprise, it's a lot of clear plastic, which means it's a lot of fear from me. So we were looking at the original E-Hobby version. This was released paired with a black version, which may or may not have represented him after he had gotten blasted and charred. I could have sworn there was a Starscream toy that had that similar shot done, but I couldn't find it in time for this video. Regardless, here is the first, done from the G1 mold, and you know, of course, that's the most obvious one to do. And this continues on. There are a lot of translucent Starscreams. Even World's Smallest got in on this. The smallest transforming Transformer had a limited run prize figure that you could actually win a completely translucent Ghost Starscream. This contest only had 5 winners, none of which seemed to take photos of it, so the only way we actually knew what this looked like was through Generation photo books. This was so rare, no one was even sure until the photo book released what the toys was, what the prize actually looked like. It's a fascinating little bit of history, and the smallest of the Ghost Starscreams. until we get to the end of this particular part of the video. You'll see. Classics got one as well, and this is kind of where I acknowledge that, you know, translucent plastic is terrifying to me for very, very real durability reasons, but I have to admit, a lot of times it is very, very pretty. This is a really, really neat-looking Starscream toy. He looks like he's made of crystal. You know, it's hard to argue. Like, yeah, it looks really nice. It terrifies me. I'm confident these toys are all time bombs. But I will admit, when they actually look good, you know what? That just kind of continues the trend. Masterpiece Starscream. Now, oddly enough, I think this one's design and the part count is so complex that it actually looks worse than the Classics figure. Oddly enough, I'm not even sure. I just have to think that, like, there's so many parts and it's so much denser that the translucent nature isn't coming through as well as it did on the deluxe mold. It was a weird little shift, you know? Like, it still looks neat, and it's a very obvious repaint to do any Starscream to, but it's just kind of weird where this one seems cloudier, thicker, like denser in a way that the Classics wasn't. So it's not hitting that same, like, ooh, that's pretty. It's more like, ooh, there's a lot of junk in those toys. Now, the most recent one that we know that we've gotten was packed in with a Beast Wars release, and that was the 2-pack of Waspinator and Starscream, representing the episode Possession. This one is accurate to how he appeared in Beast Wars, right down to the red Decepticon symbols, which is a very neat little touch. Nice attention to detail from Takara. This one is again hitting that kind of crystalline effect, though the forearms not being translucent is kind of distracting. It looks like the Ghost is wearing oven mitts. I'm not entirely sure why. Well, I do know why. If you look at these figures, you will notice that there is an element of solid plastic still among them, and that is all palm plastic. And the palm plastic is the stuff they use for high durability joints, like hinges and ball sockets, to make sure that they last a lot longer than they would if they were standard ABS, which would grind down a lot faster. It's basically made to handle the friction of transformation a lot better than most other figures. So yeah, these translucent figures are a really good way of telling what parts are palm plastic and which ones aren't. Because Takara very well knows if they made every piece of plastic clear, the toy genuinely would fall apart very quickly. They know the stuff isn't great, but they still use it from time to time. The oddest one might be the Combiner War one, which is literally just an aerial bot, with a Starscream head. We did talk about this one more recently. That this has appeared on the video, and again, it does hit this nice translucent crystalline look, but it just feels so forced in. It really does not feel like Starscream. It's really just there just so they have an excuse to put another limb on the Grand Galvatron toy. So it's whatever. The weirdest and the smallest Ghost Starscream on the entire list happens to be this one. From Titan's Return, it is a Starscream head that comes with, appropriately enough, the Octane figure. This is actually a pretty genius way of utilizing this toy. So, remember, this is one of the characters that Starscream possessed in G1 when he was a ghost. And because of that, it makes perfect sense for him to be an alternate headmaster for the toy. It's a great play on those episodes. I even love the fact that the shoulder peaks that are originally there for the Optimus Prime version of the mold, you can now use as Starscream's, like, collar, pauldron. I don't know, the intakes, the jet intakes that are sticking up around his head. It's a genius little move. Like, it's a genius little inclusion. So yeah, it's probably the oddest Ghost Starscream of them all. Probably the oddest dead toy on the whole list. But don't worry, I am including every Starscream I can think of in this list, which means I am also including the Starscream from Energon. Because, of course, in that series, yeah, he was technically a ghost, made partially corporeal, but yeah, he was given the appearance of a ghost, which is conveyed here very well in the minor uses of translucent plastic. It's just a genius little figure. It looks great. Like, okay, even me as the clear plastic hater, I can't hate on this toy because it's doing something really super clever. And technically, every version of Energon Starscream does represent the same dead Starscream. So that includes the repaint of the Armada toy. That includes the Build the Rule figure. That includes, oh, what was the other one? That even, I guess that even includes the Energon Starscream, the Energon Starscream repaint. Yeah, Transformers has one of those like Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan stupid things. Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, like this has one of those stupid things. And it's the fact that a lot of characters in Energon were renamed Energon name. It's weird. Point being, really cool design, really cool figure, really cool use of the clear plastic. It's a ghost. So, we've gone to ghosts. Let's move into zombies. Just in case you have a particular phobia against zombies, this is where we will leave you. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. But when it comes to the undead in Transformers, we have to start with Prime Cliffjumper. The original one was a retool of his original first edition figure. Came out in Wave 2, and yeah, like it's a pretty gnarly looking figure. Beaten up, clear, translucent purple plastic going on. Yeah, it's just super creepy to represent his TerrorCon appearance from Transformers Prime. I think this one gets worse because we actually saw it happen. like we saw him become a zombie. It's freaky. And there's other versions to make it even worse, because we have the San Diego Comic-Con version of the toy, which gives it slightly different paint apps, a little bit more detail going on. But the big draw here is the dark Energon he comes with, both the big spike of it and the little piece that can clip into his chest, which is such a genius use of the parts. That's probably one of the best like effect parts I've ever seen a Transformer have, because it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But it gets worse as the corruption continues. We're back to clear plastic. Once again, we're at the first edition toy. Once again, we're looking at a figure where the palm plastic is still solid, so it still holds up as much as it can. But yeah, all clear plastic. This is Cliffjumper 100% corrupted by Dark Energon, and just showing his full zombiness. We never actually saw this in the show. He maintained his red look throughout the show. This is more a what if this had just continued. I even like the stock photography version, which is all opaque plastic. That would have looked really cool too. I kind of wish that had come out. That I would have gone after. This one was okay. I could take it or leave it. If you didn't want to spend that kind of money, you could get the smaller one too. They did TerrorCon Cliffjumper all translucent purple the same way in his Legends class toy. Oh, I'm sorry. At this point, it was Legion class toy. So yeah, probably the most prominent of the undead Transformers there were, probably because it's the way they kept Cliffjumper in the show a little bit longer without having to pay The Rock. That's how it goes. Of course, in this series, it wasn't the only one. Now, we had a whole episode about zombies in Transformers Prime, but none of them actually had toys. But there was one in that episode who did, and that is the Silas Breakdown. This is kind of creepy. So we have a human stuffed into the chest, built into the mechanics of this, as he is originally the pilot of this husk, and eventually would die within it, leaving just a zombified corpse of Breakdown. Super freaking creepy. Potentially the creepiest Transformer we've ever had, simply for its backstory and the details sculpted into it. Very weird, very unsettling type. Of course, not the only undead. We've got a few more of those. We have the Sparkless. These are from the Netflix line. And they have some of the most incredible deco I've ever seen on a normal Transformer release. Look at this rust pattern all over him. It's insanely detailed for something that was released at normal retail price. Or normal retail price, but just like this should have been like, this is the kind of deco I'd expect on an exclusive or a premium piece, not something I could just rock up to Walmart and buy. Yeah, and it's just super creepy. It's hurt by the fact that it really needed some retooling to really show more damage and all that, but I think just being a repaint, they did a really impressive job. I actually like this one better than the Sparkless Seeker. The Sparkless Seeker just looks way too clean. He just looks way too clean. I'm not getting the zombie off of him. Like, if you looked at it, he just kind of looks like a dull green version of Acid Storm, which is not all that, impressive as a figure. It's okay for what it is. It's fine. He's fine, He's just kind of a guy. He's just kind of a guy. This is about as most as I could say for the Sparkless Seeker. It's not conveying it nearly as well, like as the Autobot one. That said, he does come with a couple extra zombies. I tried to remember it. Singe and Caliburst. I hesitated to even include these because they are accessory figures, but these are not depicted in the Netflix series, so they're really just accessories. Do I count them as zombified versions? Are they actually undead? I don't know. But just for the sake of being complete about this list, as complete as I can be, I'm throwing them in. This brings us to the most recent ones, because this was a whole line for some morbid reason. Starting off with Buzzworthy and then just becoming a normal Target exclusive, we have the 4 Autobots who were on board the shuttle to Autobot City when it got attacked and raided by the Decepticons. That includes Brawl, who you will note is not taking a blast to the shoulder like he did in the movie, because there isn't enough mass there to put a plug in for it. All the shoulder parts make it too thin to actually plug an effect part on, so close to the shoulder, best you get. But it is Brawn in the process of, being offlined. Prowl got the exact same treatment. What hurts me is this is the only Prowl toy that is in all solid plastic. So I still have fears over my Earthrise one with his translucent knees especially. Would have really, really liked to have a solid plastic version, Hasbro, instead of, whatever this was. It's such a weird idea. And I will admit, you remember, the first one they did shelf-warmed so bad. It was so easy to get a discount at Target. And then they just did another one. And again, I can go to Target right now and find whole stacks of them. No one ever asked for this. No one ever wanted toys of their characters dying. Now, I could see this gimmick working if the damage to his windshield there, if that was just a piece. If I could take a shell of the windshield off, and underneath is another version of the windshield with all the cracks and the damage, the exposed inner workings, and the holes for the blast effects. Okay, that would work. That would actually work. It'd work like the old Jurassic Park, dino damage gimmick, where you could take a hunk of flesh off of them. That would work. But no, we have this. And they did it to Ironhide too, of course. And why, oh why, is this the only version of this mold that has the yellow stripe? I like that Studio Series Ironhide toy. I think it is very, very good. You're telling me that even as a small Voyager, you still didn't have budget for one stripe. I get frustrated over very silly things. Do not mind me. Let's close it off by looking at the movie stuff, because there is a lot. There's a lot. I mean, if any series is known for its fatality level, it's the movies. So, let's take a look at the one toy they did to represent one of those, and that is Jazz. Now, on its own, it technically does not represent a dead character. However, this is a toy that specifically includes the ability to rip him in half And then the top half has an extra accessory to add a flailing spine to match his death scene from the original movie. I would argue this might be the creepiest thing on the entire list. Maybe more so than the Silas. Because guess what? Like, none of them actually have such a visceral detail included. This is like having any figure that has like a ball jointed midsection, giving you the ability, giving you like a replacement part. If you want to pop it in half and stick like a ball piece in there that has a bunch of guts and spine hanging out, like that's a Mortal Kombat toy. I'm sure it's a Mortal Kombat toy out there somewhere. But for Transformers, that's a little extreme, I think. But surprisingly enough, that's the only one from the movie lines I can really find. But I am going to close on one we almost got, because there was almost a Sideways that was going to be done as a multi-pack for Target, along with 3 Legends class RC sisters. And he was going to have the battle damage to represent the slash all the way down the center of his vehicle mode. He has these like bright orange inner parts to his transformation that are to represent like him burning up from within. This is again another creepy deco, and again mid-death, which is freaking weird. The toy was canceled. There's a photo of a package example floating around out there. You can find it on TF Wiki, but that's really the only thing we have. So one of them, at least, ironically, got spared. But the rest is a morbid history of Transformer toys that are no longer with us. So I'm sure there's probably a few out there I missed. You're free to let me know how much I screwed that one up in the comments section below. But for now, I think this is a tight little list. And a weird curiosity for the day. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Analysis complete. Adapting translators to local language.
Are you out there?